Hi there. If you don't know me, my name is John Fish. I'm a Harvard computer science student, but I'm also interested in psychology and art and English, all sorts of stuff, and I also make YouTube videos. Over the past few months, over this semester, I've been struggling like a lot of you to adapt to online school. All of my classes have been online, and I've had a pretty rough time of this, but I think I've figured out a few things. And so I thought I'd share these things with you in the hopes that maybe it could help someone out there who might be struggling with online school, because right now it's a pretty tough time for a lot of students. A lot of what I've had to come to terms with is the simple fact that technology is distracting. It's designed to be used in a very multitasking way, and that's not really conducive to learning. So I think two things are important as a result of technology being distracting. I think one, attention management, and two, time management.
Ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon. Once again, welcome aboard on the flight Just going to get ready to go on the front flight times. This is going to be 2 hours.
What I mean by attention management is that when you're in class or when you're doing homework, to be managing what it is that you're actually doing. So for me, this means turning off notifications on my phone. It means going full screen on Zoom and taking physical notes. I find if I'm not doing these things, part of my brain is elsewhere, because I'm either going to be picking up my phone for notifications, see something pop up on my computer, rather than focused on the task at hand, and then that just blows up the amount of time that I need to be spending on school, which is not what I'm trying to do right now. So attention management, I think, is this really important aspect of making sure that you're being single-minded when you're in tasks. And I think it's just harder in online school because you don't have the social pressure of being in a classroom with a teacher that can really see everything that you're doing. And so you have to kind of make systems which hold yourself accountable. But the reason that I think it's good is not just that, you learn more in school, although that is true, it's that it frees up so much more time to be doing other things. And this is how I view time management. I think that time management is freeing up as much time to do the things that you want to do while still getting the stuff that you need to do done. I feel like it's a way to break out of this constant cycle of half understanding material and then trying to understand it again later and so on. If you can get it the first time around by being single-mindedly focused, your life gets so much easier. I think that self-care has a bit of a weird reputation where people associate it with these kind of like influencer self-care things where it's like, I wake up at 5 a.m. and meditate and take a cold shower and I feel clear and happy. And it's like, maybe that works for a small subset of the population, but figure out what it is that makes you and your brain and your body happy. Is it going for a walk? Is it making a meal? Is it reading a book? What are the things that make you happy? And how can you find time in your day to do those things? And I think people get caught up in this like cycle of this constructed optimal lifestyle where they're like, well, I have to be living my life as if I'm a billionaire or as if I'm this or as if I'm that. It's like, no, live your life as if you are yourself and then find the best version of that. So for me, one of the things that I've been carving out time to do, and it's such a small, like arbitrary little thing, but it's really fun for me, has been figuring out coffee. What is it in a bean that I like? What is it in a brew style that I like? And diving into the specifics. And so I started experimenting with that. I started buying different types of beans from different coffee shops, talking to baristas, figuring out, okay, how should I grind it for this type of brew, and so on and so forth. Taking notes on what I liked and what I didn't like, comparing. And it's just like a fun little thing that I'm able to carve out, like a moment of happiness and like something that I can look forward to. It's like, oh, I should try that today, or I should try this today. It's a fun little thing. So I think it's really important to carve out those moments right now and not to be living in this constant mundanity, because I was really feeling that at the start of the semester and as school started to pick up. There's a concept in math and computer science. It's not very complicated. It might sound complicated. It's called Constraint Optimization. The idea behind constrained optimization is you have some function, say profit, and you want to maximize that function with some constraints. So maybe we're maximizing profit with the constraint that we can only have 10 people in our coffee shop at a given time if we're a coffee shop owner. What I think is interesting is to think about the functions right now that we're all dealing with of our mental well-being and our performance in school. And we're optimizing the amount of time that we're spending on school, the amount of sleep that we're getting, the way that we're eating, so on and so forth. And I think it's worthwhile to ask the question, are you optimizing your performance in school subject to the constraint that your well-being doesn't, deteriorate to the point that you have to drop out or take time off school or anything in that realm? Or are you optimizing your well-being subject to the constraint that your grades don't drop below what you think is an acceptable level? Listen, over the last 8 months, we've seen a really scary rise in mental health, in anxiety, in depression, in all sorts of stuff. And I've felt that to some extent. Like, I feel like it's been a hard semester mentally for me and emotionally for me. And so it's been really important for me to be optimizing my well-being subject to doing acceptably in school, as opposed to optimizing how well I'm doing in school subject to my well-being being okay. For me, it's been really important to prioritize myself as a person and not as a student right now. A student is part of my identity, but I'm a lot more than who I am in school, and allowing that to take over my entire identity right now when that's already struggling is just a bad decision. And so for me, again, this distinction has been really important, to prioritize myself and my well-being subject to the constraints that school is going pretty well, work's going pretty well, etc. If you've been following the channel for a while or you've watched some older videos of mine, I'm reminded of my 18-year-old self, first year in college, where I just absolutely threw myself into classes and did pretty much nothing else except for a couple extracurriculars. And I did really well. My grades were fantastic. I was top of my class in all of my classes. And I just felt unhappy. Like, I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't doing anything outside of school. And it felt like an arbitrary thing to base my identity on, for me. And for other people, this has not been the case. And I'm not saying it's a universal thing. But for me, it's been really important to not just make the assumption that it's right for me to base my self-worth and my value on my performance as a student. To recognize that I'm a lot more than that. And when I start to see like that, and when I treat myself in that way and say what's most important is taking care of myself, what I find is my performance in everything increases. So my performance in school, if I'm taking care of myself, is dramatically better. If I'm sleeping well, if I'm eating well, if I'm seeing friends and doing things that make me happy, I do better in school. Same with work, same with extracurriculars, and life in general is just happier. So I'll leave you with that then, is the question of whether you're optimizing your academic performance subject to the constraint of your well-being, or optimizing your well-being subject to the constraint of your academic performance. I think it's worthwhile to ask that question and think about which one you're giving a priority, especially right now. I'd now like to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Earlier in the video, I talked about how I've been playing with coffee recently, learning about coffee, about beans, what I like, what I don't like, and so on and so forth. And one of the things which has helped me along in this project has been a Skillshare course by Michael Phillips of Blue Bottle Coffee called From Plant to Cup, where they go over pretty much everything that goes into a cup of coffee and all the different variables you can think about, which is just a super fun thing for me in this current project that I'm in. I think right now is a brilliant time for exploration like this, for little projects and for exploring curiosity. And I think Skillshare is such a good platform for that. They have thousands of courses taught by amazing instructors who are experts in their fields, who are trying to teach you what they know and what they're passionate about, what they love and what they're so good at. And so for so many different topics, you can dive right in with an expert and you can learn directly from them, which I think is phenomenal. The first 1,000 people to click the link in my description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership. And after that, it's only around $10 a month. All right, thanks so much for watching this video. My name is John Fish. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to subscribe if you did, and I'll see you again soon.